Today I want to talk about TJ Finley, who has been named the starting quarterback for the LSU Tigers ahead of their game against South Carolina. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about freshman TJ Finley, who is going to get the start at quarterback for the LSU Tigers. And I believe that this is some good news and a month of bad news for LSU. TJ Finley is every bit of 6'6". He came in around 260. They put him on a nutrition plan. He's down to about 245, and he can throw a football over them mountains. Matter of fact, one of my favorite stories that has been told about TJ Finley comes from his head coach down at Ponchatoula, Louisiana, where he played as part of the Green Wave. And he just kind of told his coach, you know, Coach, I could throw a football over the fence, and the fence is about 70 yards away. So the coach, who had been coaching for 33 years, who had coached Mickey Joseph, who's, you know, an assistant at LSU at quarterback, who had coached Vance Joseph, who is, you know, a defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals, said, hey, look, I don't think you can, but I'm here to watch you if you can. So my man took one step and launched the football over them mountains, Uncle Rico style. This is the kind of quarterback that I've wanted to see at LSU for some time, right? Joe Burrow gave us what that dude might look like, and this was actually never supposed to happen, not this early, right? Because Peter Parrish was the number 2 on the depth chart, right? And then transfers, leaves the school after being suspended. They signed 2 quarterbacks in this class, Max Johnson being the other, right? The son of Brad Johnson, dude that won the Super Bowl, and also the nephew of one Mark Richt. So there were some questions about whether or not the left-hander was going to win the job. Ed Orgeron said that it was a coin toss as to which one of those freshmen gets the job now that Miles Brennan just can't go. But I've always been bullish on TJ Finley. I really like his frame. I really like his arm strength, and I like his background. He was running triple option for the Green Wave at 6'6", 260, which is ridiculous. And it doesn't actually take advantage of his tremendous skill set. But running the kind of offense that Steve Ensminger runs is only going to make him better. As a matter of fact, after he committed, Steve Ensminger and George Munoz went down to Ponchatoula to help put in an offense with a little bit more spread, a little bit more run-pass option to help both Ponchatoula and TJ Finley out in trying to get ready for what's coming at the next level. I find that to be a really big deal, right? Because so often we hear about kids that finally get their hands on the playbook after they're committed and get an opportunity to start learning how they do things at the next level and what kinds of concepts he's going to have to know as soon as he gets there. For a guy like TJ Finley to get that kind of coaching while he's still in high school, we can't overlook that, right? And this is also a dude that was showing up to the opening regional and like taking the one step and throwing that ball 70 yards. So he's got all the arm strength in the world. We're going to find out how accurate he is against Will Muschamp's defense. And I think that is going to be what most people are going to key on, because they're probably going to try to come out and establish the run to try to take some of the pressure off of TJ to make some of those more difficult throws. Probably going to get some hooks, you know, a few comebacks, maybe a couple drags, and then Terrace Marshall streaking down the sideline, like Racey McMath streaking down the sideline. I think that's how it's going to go. I can't wait to see TJ Finley play quarterback. I've wanted to see TJ play quarterback at this level since I learned that he was going to LSU like a couple years ago. And the idea that he was playing high school football 11 months ago and that he's going to start an SEC football game is ridiculous to me. Like, it's awesome and awesomely ridiculous. And it couldn't be a more perfect opportunity for TJ Finley, right? Because LSU isn't very good this year. They could catch an L against South Carolina, but he does not have to continue to win football games. That means that there's not as much pressure. Say if Miles Brennan was undefeated and then got hurt, there'd be a tremendous amount of pressure on TJ Finley to get this done and to get this right. But I don't think that he's going to have that pressure. I also think that with finding out that LSU had the self-reported rules violations, knowing that you're going to be down 8 scholarships, knowing that you probably face something like a postseason bowl ban if the NCAA has their way with this, and knowing that Odell Beckham Jr. has been banned from facilities for 2 years, you needed to be able to look to the future and feel good about something, right? Because TJ Finley also has the capacity to be a first-round draft pick. He has those tools already in his arsenal. It's about developing him into that kind of player. And Steve Ensminger, at the very least, showed that he could develop Joe Burrow into that kind of player. Like, that's what also gets lost about Steve Ensminger as we're talking about Joe Brady, because I believe that Joe Brady deserves a tremendous amount of credit for changing the way that they ran their offense and the way that they decided to distribute the football. I also think that if Steve Ensminger did not identify Joe Burrow as a player and tell Ed Orgeron that we needed this guy and to go get him, he doesn't end up at LSU. And if you don't trust Joe Burrow to develop into the kind of player that he did in 2019, when you started him in 2018, you don't get to that either. So I think when we talk about Steve Ensminger, especially with Scott Linehan joining the staff this year, we need to talk about him as a developer of quarterbacks as well, because as much as I was out on Myles Brennan, he was passing for over 300 yards a game, right? The LSU struggles were not his fault, right? That's full stop. I think TJ Finley is a more talented quarterback than Myles Brennan, and that's going to make this very interesting if TJ Finley puts on an outstanding display, because Brennan is going into a year in which he expected to get drafted and is an upperclassman, whereas Finley could take the job, solidify the job as his for the next 2.5 years. That is not a small thing, and I think that's how we should take a look at what could transpire against the Gamecocks in a game that I'm not going to say is a must-win for LSU or a must-win for SC. I am going to say that if you want people to continue to believe in what you might be able to do against Alabama and you're LSU, you're going to have to put together a definitive effort against the South Carolina offense that you should be able to dominate defensively. Bo Pelini, Jabril Cox, Jacoby Stevens, all of those dudes should be able to have their way with Mike Bobo's offense. Well, whether or not they do that, we'll see, right? Because they have been anything but good. First 3 games, LSU's allowed 96 points scored, right? They've given up 400-yard passers. Like, they have done some very un-LSU and un-Bo Pelini type things. So that also, I think, helps TJ Finley, because you know that you're probably going to get more opportunities to sling the rock around if you're giving up big plays defensively. I think for TJ Finley, this is the best possible scenario. For those LSU fans that want to look forward to the future, this is also a great look at what you brought in and how your recruiting has been paying off since Ed Orgeron came back into the fold and became the head coach. That's still true in 2021. It's just about how are you going to close out 2021 and what kind of scholarship availability are you going to have in 2022 and going forward. All right, that is it for me. Doses.